going on, Club Dub? How are we doing today, guys? Good to see everybody. We are back, man. The NFL is back tonight.
It is
Got a lot
back.
to talk about today. Yeah, man. It's been a long time. I can't wait. I woke up so excited this morning. I'm absolutely stoked. I don't care if the Bears aren't playing. I love to watch this.
Yeah.
Game.
The best time of year, hearing everybody on Twitter get excited about it, all these return videos and hype videos and all this kind of stuff, man. I live for this season. This is everything.
Yeah, we are fully back, man. Eric, how are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling all good, man. You know, Dallas always knows how to put on a spectacle with these types of games, and it's Tom Brady, so you expect a fun one. Two really good offenses slugging it out. Comes down to whether the Cowboys' defense has improved or not, in my mind. So if they have, it should be a fun night.
Yeah, Micah Parsons looks pretty good. Their rookie from Penn State looks like he could be an early candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. He looked awesome. I watched a little bit of Hard Knocks, so that got me fired up. It was all on the Cowboys this year. I hope Dak comes back healthy. I've always liked him. I hope he comes back. And, like I said, Tampa's Tampa. They're going to be a lot of fun. And I got a lot of their guys on my fantasy teams this year, so they better be good. And we're rooting for no more injuries. We saw enough of those today that we'll get to later on here in the show. But the NFL's back. We're back. This is Club Dub, presented by SportsMockery.com. Hopefully you caught us yesterday on the Halitech show. Thanks again for Mike for having us on. I'll be on again next week real quick, just talking about the potential move to Arlington Heights. We're getting down. We're going to hear something here in the next couple weeks about that. It's coming up. It's on the radar. So really looking forward to that. But nonetheless, let's talk Bears. Couple days away. Almost said weeks. So used to saying that, but we are a mere 3 days away from kickoff in LA, Sunday Night Football. Season overview, guys. Predictions. How are we feeling about this year?
You know, it's one of those years where it feels like it could go a number of different ways. You can easily see them, being 5-12, even 4-13, or you can see them, winning 12 games, making the playoffs, maybe even challenging for the division. They're that hard to pin down because of their roster. They've got some really good strengths. They've got a couple of quarterbacks that you like for once, talented guys, a smart guy in Dalton, really talented rookie in Fields. They seem to have weapons on offense. Can the offensive line hold up? Can the secondary hold up? It's really hard not to see their flaws as well, which is why it's really hard to buy into them this year, especially against the schedule they have to play.
Yeah, certainly. And look, I mean, the Bears there's a lot of projection with this team, right? I mean, everything on paper indicates the Bears have improved, right? At quarterback, Mitch Trubisky's out, Andy Dalton's in.
I wouldn't say everything, but
no, a lot of things, right? I mean, you look at quarterback, they've improved. Running back depth, they've improved. Wide receiver depth, they've improved. Tight end depth, they've improved. Offensive line, if it makes the jump we expect it to, may have improved. We don't know yet how Larry Borum's going to play, when Tevin Jenkins will return. Right? There's a lot of these questions on the defensive line and defensive front. Their depth has improved. Inside linebacker, they may have upgraded their starting spot next to Roquan Smith with Alec Ogletree. We don't know. The only place they have markedly gotten worse is on the special team side from their return men and gunners that, we knew Cordell Patterson is one of the best in the league. Sherrick Clement is one of the best in the league. We don't know what that is. And then obviously the big issue button here is the cornerback spot. So, we'll see how they play. We'll see how Sean Desai does as his first year as a play caller and defensive coordinator. Lots of question marks that we'll get an initial answer to on Sunday night. And if it's trending in the right direction, then the Bears have, and if they grow, the Bears have, plenty to look forward to. But if they don't, if they come out in a dud, and then, oh man, Twitter's going to be ripe with all these fire Nagy right away, get rid of Dalton, all this stuff, which we're looking for.
We're going to see that no matter what.
During the game. We're going to see all these, national analysts being like, why is Dalton still in here after an incomplete pass on first down? It's just like it's going to be fun and terrible at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's impatient. We want to see a winner. I'm in that group, but this is what it is. So, we got to accept it that Andy's going to start. But I do have some good news. We might actually see Fields take a couple snaps week 1, which would be really cool. This would not, it's not a guaranteed thing, but I would not put it past Nagy that we see Fields take a couple snaps I don't know if they'll it all depends on the score of the game, right? It's all going to depend on how the flow of the game is going. I don't think he's going to be scripted in, although we do know how stubborn Nagy likes to stick to his plans. So maybe if he already has his mind made up, maybe we'll see Fields regardless. But I think that could be something fun to look forward to. Listen, I think the Rams run away with this game. I think they're in a different realm than the Bears are. They're a better team. They got a better coach. They have better players at premium positions. And then they have Matt Stafford, who knows this team so well. I think it's a win for the Rams. But all I want to see the Bears score, I want to see them score points this game. Put over 20 points on the board, please. For the love of God, do not kick 4 field goals and be done and score 12, 15 points and be done with it. Score 3 touchdowns, 20 to 25 points. I'll consider that a step in the right direction of the offense. That's the thing. That's how I'm gauging this year. Players to keep an eye on for me. I want to see Darnell Mooney come out and play really well. He played, that infamous route against Jalen Ramsey last year against the Rams where he was overthrown by Mitch. I think that maybe we'll see those two match up again, potentially on a couple switches when he's not on Allen Robinson. I got my eyes on Darnell Mooney this year. I got my eyes on Thomas Graham Jr. maybe coming off the practice squad and helping out. And then a third guy that I'm really keeping my eye on is Tonga. So I think that we're going to see a lot of him this week just because of some of the injury news that we're going to touch on. But before we get to that, I'll name 3 of your players that you're keeping an eye on this year that really have the opportunity to make significant differences and maybe catapult this team to a winner.
For me, it starts with Kindle Vildor, the cornerback who's going to play opposite Jalen Johnson. We know Johnson's probably going to end up being good if he stays healthy. He was really solid last year, got hurt, unfortunately, towards the end of the season. But I think, he's going to take a nice big step forward this year. But a lot of teams probably aren't going to throw at him because they're probably going to end up throwing at Vildor given the preseason he had. So they're going to test him, and it's really going to be up to him to stand up and, man up and play well. The Bears believe in him. He's athletic. He's tough. He's physical. And you like that in a cornerback. The question is, will he let some struggles early shatter his confidence? If not, I think he has a chance to be a good player, but we'll see. He's going to play an important part in that. Cole Kmet is another one I'm looking at.
Yeah.
First pick of the last draft. Talented as all hell. No question about it. He was putting in a ton of work this offseason, worked with some great guys, Kelsey, Kittle. I mean, if he took their advice to heart with his talent, he has a chance to take a big step forward as well. This draft class from last year looks like it might actually be pretty good if a few things go their way. So he's another one I'm looking at. And then I would say Sam Mustipher, the center for the Bears. You're surrounded by 2 guards I think are good, and Cody Whitehair and James Daniels, but you're the pivot point, and they need this interior to be solid given the the questionable problems they have at tackle with Jason Peters and Jermaine Ifedi. So they really need the interior to play well. I like Mustipher. He's smart, he's instinctive, he's intelligent, he's tough. You love all that in the center, but his talent has always been his question. Is he strong enough and all that sort of thing? So he's got a lot to prove this year, but he's one I'm definitely watching.
I like all of those. And in the interest of not repeating what Kevin, you said and what Eric said, and obviously ignoring the quarterbacks because those are always people to watch, I'm going to give you 3 maybe a little bit off the cuff ones. I'm going to go first with Travis Gibson because, the Bears are very likely moving on from Robert Quinn after this year. They need to make sure that they have that edge number 2 spot solidified opposite Khalil Mack because we expect Khalil Mack to be here for the next year or 2 at least. And so can Gibson take that next step? He showed incredible flashes in the preseason, pressuring the quarterback almost every other snap. It was something to behold, quite honestly. He was just mere inches away, milliseconds away from several other sacks beyond what he already had in the preseason. So I'm expecting good things from Gibson this year, even though he expects to be a rotational player to an extent. I do feel if he's able to capture the Bears coach's attention, early on, he may, nestle a pretty good spot in the rotation there moving forward and be able to be that, third down pass rusher that the hopefully offensive lines are scared of. Number 2, I'm going to go with James Daniels, another offensive lineman who's going to be who's in a contract year this year. This is year 4.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, and I was actually going to go with Mustafa, but Eric pointed him out, so I'm going to go with Daniels because it's another interior lineman, right? I mean, I would argue in today's NFL with more mobile quarterbacks, the interior of the line is more important than the edges because these quarterbacks have enough speed to escape those guys coming up the edges, but they don't. No one can escape a collapsing pocket from the front. So if you have Mustafa who doesn't maybe pan out to be the great center, and you have your starting right guard now in James Daniels, who was a second-round pick, not pan out, the Bears have a lot more investment to make in the offensive line next year, which they probably weren't hoping to do. They're probably hoping to dish out that second contract to Daniels. So he's someone I'm watching. I'm hoping he, along with Whitehair and Mustafa, keep that interior of the line solidified. And then number 3, Eddie Jackson. This is supposed to be a bounce-back season for Jackson, especially going back to a more Fangio-type scheme with Sean Desai taking over as coordinator. I think the issues that he had in Chuck Pagano's scheme are well documented. With Desai coming in, I think the expectation is they're going to do a little bit more of that, post snap rotation of safeties and having him play more of a free safety style instead of going over and having to play, man coverage, for example, or play out and go run up and tackle. He might be able to, roam across the field however he does best and use his instincts the way he does best. So I'm looking forward to see how he bounces back. Yes, he had several touchdowns taken off the board last year because of penalty, but he missed tackles. He was out of place at times.
He was terrible.
He struggled.
Let's call it what it is. He was terrible last year. I mean, he was not himself. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the lack of Vic Fangio, but his instincts were not there. He had those returns for touchdowns that got called back. I think 3 or 4 of them, and a couple of them were bad calls. Let's be honest. But he was not himself.
Exactly. And the reality is that those bad plays still showed up. And what we as analysts and media and fans and everyone want to know is Eddie Jackson the guy from 2017, 2018, or is he the guy from 2019, 2020? This is his year, especially with him being paid a lot of money. They need to know, what are you? So hopefully he has that bounce back season. That's going to be huge for the defense.
No question. The reason I'm really looking at Darnell Mooney this year is I think he has a chance to prove himself to become, a future number 1 wide receiver in this league. He's got the speed, he's got the intangibles. We saw him last year. He just didn't have a quarterback throwing to him. If the Bears do go out on a limb and then they choose to not repay Allen Robinson, and guess what? That's where it looks like it's going. You're gonna need to draft a wide receiver in the first round next year. And because that'll be your most important position of need, potentially, that or a cornerback. But I think that you could go out and maybe get a corner. You're going to need to draft another wide receiver, play on the field's timeline of younger guys. But I got my eyes on Mooney. I think that this is a big year for him. Another thing to keep in mind is him and Montgomery both going to have really fresh legs going into the season. They didn't play in the preseason. Montgomery really didn't play much at all. I don't believe he got any snaps. I could be wrong on that. Mooney, the games I was at, he didn't get any snaps. These guys are going to be fresh. They're going to be ready to go. Quick starts. This is how I'm measuring the success of this team this year. I'm not saying they have to win a Super Bowl. I'm saying that this offense has to get off to better starts in both halves. They're scripted plays. We talked about it yesterday on the Halitech show. They should not come out and lay an egg in the first quarter and have 3 points and have a bunch of incompletions and 3 and outs. It shouldn't happen. These are scripted plays. You've had months to prepare for this game now. This game, of all things, you got to come out and you got to play well. Another reason I said Tonga is because Eddie Goldman's been the drama all over the place with him so far to start this year. The false COVID test that let him out a couple games to start the preseason, the not getting vaccinated, the back issue, and now his status is up in the air for week 1. He didn't practice today. He didn't practice yesterday with this knee injury. We'll take a look here right now at the injury list, but this sucks, guys. This sucks. I mean, he can't seem to catch a break, but here's a look at the injury report. We got Eddie with a knee. Jimmy Graham did not practice, but this is from Wednesday, my fault. So this is Jimmy Graham did practice today. Mac did practice today. Mooney and Quinn also practiced. So really, it was just Goldman.
Yeah, definitely. more names than you'd like to see. Like, yes, full participation in practice and limited participation in practice, when Nagy himself said today that he expects to have all these guys, except Tayshaun Gibson, he's a new name, but, Quinn, Mooney, Mack, and Iggy, he expects to have all of them play on Sunday night. Having this many names on the injury report already with some sort of, nick here and tick there and whatever else, that's not great, right? I mean, it's week one. Some of these guys didn't really play that much in preseason, like Darnell Mooney. So it's a little bit unsettling there. But the Eddie Goldman thing is killer, man. I mean, if he is out for an extended period of time, yes, Kairos Tongo is an interesting rookie and could probably hold down the fort from a run-stopping perspective. I don't know what his pass rush prowess is, but I'd imagine he may even come off the field on third downs, as third and longs, the obvious pass, rush situations. But look, Eddie Goldman is the driver of that defense, one of the most underrated nose tackles in the league, players in the league, and great defenders in this league. He opted out last year. We saw the effect it had on the run defense, and having him back this year was supposed to unlock things for the pass rush, was supposed to unlock things for guys like Akeem Hicks, certainly for Roquan Smith. And if he's out, week one, and hopefully, we don't know how long it could be. I mean, Nagy says day to day, but he said that with Tevin Jenkins. And so we don't know is how long Goldman will be out. If it's an extension of last year, look, this defense is already in trouble, and they don't have Kyle Fuller. They have certainly much, much weaker cornerbacks. Yeah. It's going to be a struggle.
I mean, no question about it. Eddie, he's obviously such a key part of the defense. You really would like to have him out there. Now, the benefit is, the Rams probably aren't going to be at their strongest running the football because they lost their best running back to an injury. And now you've got Stafford, so you assume they're going to want to throw it more often. So that might work in your favor this week. But soon you're going to start facing some really good running games. Cleveland, Vegas, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, all good running teams. You're going to need them. And so the Bears need to – I mentioned the Browns, right?
Oh, you did? Yeah, you said Cleveland. Sorry, I forgot the Browns were in Cleveland. My fault. Look at me. I'm such a huge NFL fan.
No problem, but it's just one of those things, is this going to be a recurring theme throughout the season? Is it going to be one nick after another? First it was a back, now it's a knee. So how healthy is he going to be? So we really don't know. All we can do is hope that if he doesn't play this week, that he'll be 100% going into the Cincinnati game, and he'll just be able to stay on the field from there. He's never been known for being out long whenever he has health issues, which is a comfort at this point, but it's something we're going to have to monitor moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Let's hear from the head coach on Eddie Goldman.
Having a Thursday practice today, we'll get going with our nickel, going with that, and then it's good to be here, good to get going out there with the guys and get ready for the game this weekend. So I don't really have anything to get started, so let y'all fire away.
Eddie Goldman, out of practice yesterday. Can you give us an update on what the extent of that? It's 2 body parts listed.
Yeah. He tweaked his knee on Monday in practice, and so he's going to be day to day, literally. So he didn't practice yesterday. We'll just continue to see where that's at, but we'll see where he's at tomorrow. But day to day for him.
Ankle an issue also?
No, his was it was the knee, so he's just in practice, and now we go, day to day. We'll see where he's at.
You expect him to practice today?
I don't know. We'll see.
There you go. I mean, day to day. I think we'll obviously know tomorrow. He doesn't practice tomorrow. He's not going to play. I would assume that they are not going to push him if he's really hurt. It only being week one, this isn't a do or die game. I mean, we obviously talked about playoff implications in this game already. I mean, it's an NFC contender. And the Rams playing in arguably the best division in football, they don't win that division. They're fighting the Bears for a wild card spot because I think we can all agree the Bears aren't winning the division this year. Mm-hmm. So if, they could, but I think it's pretty well set in stone that Green Bay is far and away the favorite. And the Vikings, their best players won't get vaccinated, so they're going to miss some time. It's just, it's a fact of the matter, however how you feel on it. It's going to happen. Like, they're not going to be at full strength. They're going to lose some games. So I think what you're really looking at is a big game for the Bears, but I don't think they push Goldman here.
Probably, yeah. I mean, Nagy and his staff have always been notorious for being very cautious with players. So if Goldman isn't 100% or at least close to 100% at this point in the season, there's no way they're going to push him. if it is do or die later in the season, they might, I don't know if they'll encourage guys to play, but guys will probably push to play even though they might be nicked up because that's just the way it is in football. But right now, I personally don't think Eddie's going to play. He's probably not going to practice tomorrow because he's a big dude, and knee problems with big dudes can turn into bigger problems if you're not careful. So I think he's probably going to sit out this week, and they're going to be hoping that he can return to practice next week for Cincinnati.
I agree. And, I mean, if you think about it, we don't really know what the extent of Roquan Smith's injury was last year, but he sat out a playoff game in New Orleans. I mean, and he was the Bears' best defender last year. So, clearly the Bears are going to be cautious with the players. First week back, a game they probably maybe internally expect to lose. I don't know. But, it's a tough matchup anyway. But, look, Eddie Goldman is important to this team. They want him around for the long haul. It's a long season. They have an extra game this year. It doesn't make sense to trot him out there week one if he's not fully healthy. I get some of the tangential issues with it. It's prime time. To your point, Kevin, it's an NFC contender where, you have potentially that wild card implication. And, you have your own kind of week one overreactions of how is our team going to look? Are we going to look good, et cetera? Because you know how people react to week one. I get all that. But look, Goldman's too important. This team, if anything, they operate very cautiously. And so, yeah, I agree. I think he's probably going to be out. We'll find out tomorrow. But they're probably very likely leaning towards, look, let's save him for the rest of the year.
Guys, if you're just tuning in, Club Dub Podcast presented by SportsMockery.com. We appreciate everybody tuning in. We are getting you set for the opener of the NFL, Cowboys and Buccaneers. It's going to kick off in an hour from this moment right now. So we're getting you set up for that. The NFL is back. Bears will play Sunday night against the Rams. We'll also get you set up for that one as well with some predictions later on here in the show. Another big story of the day that doesn't really have anything to do with, week one per se, but it's got a tie-in. This was an interesting story. Nagy, McVay, Stafford were all in Cabo at the same time when the trade went through. Stafford going to the Rams. Yeah. And who was down there too?
Kyle Shanahan.
Shanahan was there too? Yeah. So it's no surprise. Some very good coaches in the NFL think Matt Stafford's a good quarterback. Imagine that.
Really good coaches in the NFL who need a quarterback.
Right.
Yeah, and this should come as no surprise. But the Lions were not trading him to the Bears. The asking price would have been too high. The Bears were certainly trying. I think that's pretty obvious here. Eric, you pointed that out in our chat earlier today. You wouldn't be down there. Nagy wasn't there sipping pina coladas and enjoying himself for no reason. During a pandemic, going on vacation, there was obviously something there where he was trying to get Stafford. He knows these guys, these offensive minds know how good Matt Stafford is. This was an interesting story. I just found it kind of funny. Nagy talked a little bit about it too, right here.
Made the trade for Stafford, sent pretty big shockwaves through the NFL offseason where everybody anticipated a lot of quarterback movement. You guys were doing your due diligence on all the quarterbacks you were looking at. Do you remember where you were when the trade went down and what your initial reaction was?
Yeah, I was. I do remember where I was at. It was ironically in Cabo, so I was in Cabo. Yeah, I was.
Coincidence, or
I think it might have been coincidence.
Did you take dinner with all those guys? Too?
No, I went to dinner with my wife.
Did you see Stafford when you were there?
No.
Okay, no. Good for him.
Well, you asked me where I was, right?
Huh?
It was great. It was really good. There weren't many people there either. I know that.
You've talked.
Coincidence? My ass coincidence. You were definitely there trying to woo the second best quarterback in the NFC North for the last decade to come onto your football team. Nonetheless, didn't work out. Stafford is going to kill it in LA.
What I thought was interesting about that is, Nagy has talked about his utter respect for Stafford in the past, and just, it sounded like Kyle Shanahan when he was down there was hoping to get a meeting with Stafford to kind of convince him, like, hey, come to the 49ers, and then once you agree to come, then we can work out a deal with Detroit. And he never got a chance. It was, McVay all the way. It sounds like, they hit it off really well, and the Bears probably never got a chance to talk to Stafford, and neither did the 49ers. So good for McVay to put on a hell of a recruiting pitch to get him to say yes to LA, and the rest is history. But you can tell, man, like looking at his reflection, and I don't know, I'm maybe reading facial expressions too much, but it sounded like he was digging up some memories a little bit.
He was salty. He was
yeah,
salty.
Exactly.
Yeah, he knew the schedule. He knew who he was playing already. He knew that he goes like, "Damn, we thought we were done with you, and get to play you week 1." So, yeah, whatever. We'll see Stafford again. I mean, he's great. I think he wins the game on Sunday. The other thing that we're watching, let's switch sides of the ball real quick. Sean Desai's debut. Eric, you wrote up an article on this that I'm going to pull up. But what are we looking for? This is big. A lot of these guys are talking up Desai like he's going to be Vic Fangio again. And can we put that title on him now?
I don't know if we're there yet. I mean, he still has a lot to prove, obviously. Being able to work under somebody like Fangio is critical to his own development, but he's got to be his own guy as well. He can't try to be Vic Fangio because he's not. And that's not a knock on him. That's just reality. So the question is, what are we looking for? We're looking for what he's been preaching. And the number one thing is turnovers. I mean, we've been seeing the highlights from training camp the whole way, the turnover bucket and all that. So they're going to be looking to produce some takeaways, which has been a problem against the Rams the past couple of times they've played them. So I think that's going to be an emphasis. He was also emphasizing speed, energy, effort, toughness, physicality. So I think we're going to be looking for that too. And, he was talking about, how McVay is one of the best chess master type offensive coordinators out there, which is very true. I mean, the guy's a savant in many ways. So, but Desai said chess is sort of one of his favorite things. It's something he feels that he's good at. So he's, eager for this sort of challenge to test himself, which is exactly what you want to hear. He doesn't seem like he's in awe of McVay. He respects the hell out of him. Don't misconstrue that. He respects McVay a lot, but he also knows in himself that he can compete with them. It's just a question of going out and proving it.
I just find it interesting. One, you saw that stat up there right here that the Rams under McVay have never had an offense finish worse than 11th in total yards. That's incredible. I mean, there's a reason they've been to a Super Bowl under McVay. I mean, he clearly knows what he's doing, and I think the thing that I'm looking for the most is, will McVay coach this team a lot like he did last year and call a similar game where he just coached circles around Nagy all day? Or will the Bears learn their lesson here and will Desai be like, hey, maybe have a step up on a couple of drives? That's the biggest thing for me. I really need to see that. I need to see them not get coaches or coaching, you know what I mean, getting coach circles around. We can't have that again. It was only 24-10 last year, but it felt like it was 42-7.
Yeah, it was major. And you think about, look, I mean, McVay against Pagano is a complete and utter mismatch, right? McVay against Fangio was a lot of fun, but yeah, against Pagano, we saw the last 2 years what was definitely a mismatch. And last year, I thought 2 years ago in LA when they played at the Coliseum, I thought it was very interesting that McVay went with a more run-heavy power football approach with Todd Gurley. He ran for close to 100 yards, had 2 touchdowns, led the game in carries as well. And it was a different approach to what they did in when they played in 2018 when the Bears, shut them down completely. It was a totally different game plan. It seemed to work okay. I mean, they only scored 17 points, but it was still enough. Ball control was good. And then they carried that over to 2020, where they had an entirely different game plan, a lot of outside zone type of runs, play action and bootlegs with Jared Goff, getting him those, half field, high-low reads that he executed really well last year, to be fair. And you're right. I mean, it seemed like the Rams were ahead like 30-3 at, towards the end of the game, even though it was only 24-10 score. So, different game plans each year that have all worked well, kept the Bears on their toes. I am excited to your point about chess match. He has played chess against the Bears the last 2 years after getting slammed in the first matchup. I'm excited to see what Sean Desai does this year. Now, look, he has not put anything out there schematically at all in his brief tenure. Preseason, they did nothing schematically, quarters coverage, all the vanilla stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to see him do something schematically for the first time, and Sean McVay has to prepare for it. So I'm excited to see what that is.
And one other thing you really need to point out about all this is in their past 3 matchups, the defense hasn't been the problem. You look at it, 15 points in 2018, 7 in 2019, and 10 last year. The Bears need to score. The Rams defense has given them a lot of issues the past 3 matchups. So we can talk about the defense all day going against McVay. No question it's a challenge, but they also have to score more points if they want to win this game.
I was just going to say, with this team, you got to run the ball east and west. There just has to be more in the running game. The Bears cannot run the ball against this team. Obviously, we know how good Aaron Donald is. We're not going to sit here and talk about how good Aaron Donald is. We already know that. This should not be rocket science. I don't understand. If I have to sit there and watch 10 plays of Andy Dalton taking snaps and then handing it off in the shotgun, we know that doesn't work. So let's try some pitches. Let's try some jet sweeps. Be creative. Nagy preaches himself on being creative. So let's see it. Let's see them run the ball east and west. David Montgomery has to have a big game. He's got to have over 100 yards if the Bears want to win this game. And truth be told, he's fresh, like we said, but I don't know. Nagy wants to run the ball 20 times a game. This is all hypothetical stuff. We got to see it on paper. Score predictions. What do you guys have?
Oof.
Well, the funny thing is, Michael had me at 31-16. I actually had it at 27-16. I think he misread it. So that was my score. I think the Rams, I think it'll be close for maybe the first half, first 3 quarters maybe, but the Rams will end up pulling away late because the Bears defense will wear down. The stuff we've always seen. I don't think they're going to get off to a good start offensively because the Rams defense, which I don't think will be as good as it was last year, but will still be solid. And, it's just they're a bad matchup for this Bears team and especially this offense. And I don't have a lot of faith in Nagy at this point as an offensive play caller until proven otherwise. So I think it's going to be 27-16, just one of those frustrating games that you wish would have looked different if the offense had played better.
Yeah, I got 26-10. I think it was quoted as 24-10 yesterday. I got 26-10. I do expect the Bears to have a little bit of success offensively moving the football. I think they're going to struggle in the red zone to convert. I think they're going to have some 4th and shorts that they try to go for, make a statement on the road in a first game, primetime, etc., and they may not succeed. I have a feeling that the offense will look better than we have seen, especially against the Rams, but more just keeping in line with the theme of last year. I think the offense will play okay. I think they'll just struggle to score, which, if you think about it, it would be something to build on, right? You move the ball against a decent defense in the Rams, that's a good building block. Yeah, you may only score 10 points and get, at the end of the day blown out. But if you are able to move the ball, control possession, keep Stafford off the field, that is progress. And quite honestly, I would take seeing that instead of your classic 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. We don't want to see that.
I just want to see complete drives. That's really it. I want to see you run the ball and have complete drives. Not expecting Andy
to ask for.
Right. Yeah, I'm not expecting Andy Dalton to come in here and throw bombs and light up Jalen Ramsey because it's not going to happen. Just get a couple, and that's another thing. We let the defense off the hook because the offense has been so anemic. But get some turnovers. You can turn Matt Stafford over. You know how he plays. Get some pressure on him like you were in preseason and force some strip sacks. I don't know. The Bears need 2 turnovers, and David Montgomery has to have 100 yards rushing. I don't think that's too much to ask. I really don't.
It's a good formula.
Guys, I want your questions. Everybody who's tuning in right now, appreciate you guys leaving some comments, which are great. Keep leaving those questions in there. We're going to answer those at the end of the show. Also, leave your score predictions in there. I'm going to take a screenshot of the score predictions. Whoever gets the closest, we're going to invite you on the show next week. So want to have you guys a part of the show. We'll do a quick little segment. So leave your score predictions. If you get it, if you're closest, we'll have you on. And you just got to keep tuning in.
I don't think the guy from last week who won our competition messaged us.
I know. It's a shame. He won. He nailed how many times Ryan Pace said, what was it?
Excited.
Yeah, he said it 18 times in a 30-minute press conference. Ryan Pace, everybody. That's what he does. We won't hear from him for a while now, so we'll see. You know what's interesting? I wonder if we'll see. I wonder if he'll do like a Rick Hahn. I hope. Obviously, I'm not hoping this will happen, but there's like a significant injury or something. I wonder if he'll come out and talk about it like Rick Hahn has for all of the White Sox injuries that they've had this year. I wonder if we'll see that.
He hides until the end of the year, and it's not. I mean, part of it might be Bears PR policy, and I don't know how much of that Ryan Pace influences. Quite honestly, I think that's something that may be a little bit of a, just kind of people wanting to blast Ryan Pace, but he usually talks maybe mid-year at some point, and then at the end of the year. But yeah, I mean, to your point, if there's something significant like Justin Fields gets hurt in practice, for example, like that would be something. Come on, man! Like come out and address it.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't like hearing from him, but that's because he never has anything to really say. But I'm serious. Like he's one of the most.
Being honest,
he's one of the most cloaked NFL GMs there is, and it's what are you hiding, man? I'm not a Ryan Pace guy.
If you were a Bears fan, would you want a head coach? And I know we're talking about GMs, but a head coach like Dan Campbell, who says the crazy shit that Dan Campbell says?
No.
I'm just curious.
No, I'm good on all that. I saw a thing today that was pretty funny. So Deandre Swift, I just heard about this. He's in an investigation, a murder investigation, which that's serious, obviously. So if you have him in fantasy, you might want to sit him because I don't think he's playing Sunday. But I saw a meme account tweet out that Dan Campbell goes, we love guys like this on our team. They have that killer instinct. And that's something. Dan Campbell did not say that. It was a meme Twitter account. But it is something he would say.
The ability to put people in a body bag. I saw that.
That's what it was. Just gotta love Twitter, man. NFL Twitter is the best. I also saw a tweet today. I wish I could find it real quick, but it was this so-and-so's or TJ Watt's going to be so hungry after this new contract, or one of the most hungry players in the NFL. And some guy goes, did he ever play with Eddie Lacy? Like, it was just like, oof, take that. Other news speaking of news around the NFL today, the Ravens have lost now 4 players to ACL tears, 3 of them running backs. Their first 3-string running backs, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and Justice Hill, now all out with torn ACLs, and they lose their starting cornerback, their cornerback number 1, to an ACL injury. Absolutely brutal. And the Bears play the Ravens this year.
Mm-hmm. And, the Ravens are the sort of team that runs the football with Lamar Jackson. The running game is their identity. So when you lose your top 3 running backs, that becomes a bit of a problem, because if they can't run the ball, then Jackson becomes less of a factor as a runner himself. And they already lost one of their primary receivers they acquired as well. He's going to be on injured reserve and probably not 100% when he returns. And now you lose Marcus Peters, who's your best ball skills defensive back on the team, with the interceptions and turnovers he can force. Those are huge losses for them.
I mean, he's one of the best in the league.
Playing them coming out of the bye. So, you can't help but say it benefits the Bears that not having to play those guys, but you got to feel really bad for the Ravens.
Another thing to note, too, real quick, Drew, before you hop in, Rashad Bateman's on IR, too, the kid that they drafted out of Minnesota, their first-round draft pick. He's going to miss the first 3 weeks of the year. That kid's good, man. I'm telling you, he's the real deal. I watched him play a lot in college. I don't think he'll be Justin Jefferson like right away, but he's good. He's got speed and he's got great hands. He'll be their number 1, I think, going forward, should he stay healthy. I mean, this is just unbelievable and talk about a division you don't want to be injured in. I mean, they're going to find themselves behind the 8 ball right away, and they're going to be swimming upstream all season, which is unfortunate. I just think that they're going to get outworked by an incredibly talented Browns team, and then a Steelers team with a pretty good offense, best defensive player in football, second best defensive player in football, who just also got a major contract extension. We'll talk about that in a second. Drew, what were you going to mention?
I was just going to say this kind of reminds you about the fact that there are no right answers when it comes to the preseason, right? You look at Matt Nagy a few years ago. He didn't play anybody. Everyone was healthy, but they looked sluggish coming out of the gates, and they didn't start well and play well. They had issues. then you play everybody, and then you risk injuries. Like, I know, some of these injuries didn't happen in game, but Eddie Goldman's hurt now. Robert Quinn's dealing with a little nick here and there. And then look at what's happening with the Ravens, right? I mean, I don't know how they manage their starters in preseason, but 4 ACL tears and before the season starts is
unbelievable.
It has to be unprecedented. It's ridiculous. So, and there is no right answer, right? You do what you do. You prepare for the season however you want to prepare for the season, and you're going to take your lumps in somewhere or the other. It's an unforgiving league. It's a really randomized set of luck when it comes to the NFL at times, and you got to hope it bounces your way. And this year, the Ravens have been snake bit, and I feel bad for them.
Certainly plays in the Bears' favor when they get them out of the bye week. Obviously, we don't wish injuries on anybody. It is a part of the league, though. The Bears were very fortunate in 2018 to be very healthy. Last year, they had the injury bug. Hopefully, this year is a reverse of fortune for them, and we don't see injuries. We know there's going to be some soft tissue ones. We know we're without Tariq Cohen, but so far he's really the only one. Guys, leave your score predictions, leave your comments, your questions. We're going to answer those. We're going to be wrapping up here a little bit earlier, so you guys can go watch Cowboys Buccaneers. I know that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to pour out a drink, and I'm going to go hang out and watch that game, the opening night of the NFL, 7:20 on NFL Network. Really, while we're talking about the Bears' schedule, let's hear from QB1 what he thinks how this year is going to go.
Andy, ever since you signed, you spoke of candidly about one-year deal is something you understand you have to prove it with this opportunity. What's it going to mean for you going out there Sunday night and facing the defense that was number 1 in the league last year?
Yeah, it's a really good defense, and we're going to face a lot of good defenses this year. And that's why you play this game. That's why you prepare, the way you prepare and you get ready for these games because they all mean a lot. And so, this is going to be a good test for us this to start the year.
Is it going to feel different than maybe stepping out when you did for start with the Bengals or on previous opportunities?
No, you got to treat it the same way. And every year is important. Every game is important, and this is the start of this new year.
Andy, Bill was talking about how he loves your competitiveness. How do you feel going into this season, knowing the deal you're in and what's at stake, and how does competitiveness kind of factor into the way that you're going to take the field for Game 1 and this season?
I would say I'm a very competitive person, and not only from the game of football, but kind of with everything that I do, And so I hold myself to a standard and expect to play at a high level and help this team in any way. And so I think all that kind of plays into the competitiveness.
There you have it, QB1 Andy Dalton, who last year with the Dallas Cowboys and a pretty injured offense that was missing their top-end wide receiver, Amari Cooper, for most of the year. He completed 65% of his passes, threw for about 2,200 yards, 14 touchdowns, 8 picks, and had a QB rating of 87.3. Andy had a good year last year. He knows it, and we know it, that it's going to be a quick hook if he sucks. So I think he wants to make the playoffs again. It's been a few years for him, so I think that chip's on his shoulder. And other than that, I'm just hoping for consistency. We haven't had it, and I think that Andy can bring it.
I mean, Andy, he's a good player. Not a great one. He's not special or anything. But if you give him decent blocking and a couple of weapons, he's proven time and again with different teams, not just Cincinnati, but also Dallas, that he can make some stuff happen. He can put together some drives. He can score some points. And that's what the Bears are hoping for. They're not hoping for Superman. They're hoping for somebody who can keep the offense on schedule, put together maybe 20, 21 points a game. And with this defense, if they play up to their potential, they'll win some ball games. But, nobody has the confidence in that because of what they've seen so far with Foles, Trubisky. They're predisposed to completely doubt an average quarterback with the Bears, rightfully so. So that's why they want to see Fields. They know they probably need a special talent in there to elevate this offense beyond being terrible, which is pretty much what it's always been for almost a decade now. So,
yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, I think from Dalton's standpoint, this is his chance to prove himself that, not to himself, but other teams in the league, that look, I can still start. I would have started last year had I been released by Cincinnati earlier. I'm glad the Bears signed me this year early. I have my opportunity. Let me go make the most of it. So I see where he's coming from. I think the Bears are, we've talked at length about the plan and Justin Fields and everything, so I'm not going to rehash that. But the Bears feel like that they can get professional quarterback play out of Andy Dalton, and that should be enough to make this offense look like it at least works. And if it works, and it looks like it works, that is enough, and it buys them time. They will win some ball games because of that, because their defense should be at least, above average at this point, even with the cornerback issues. And so they'll be a competitive team, and I think that is going to be enough to buy them that time to let Justin Fields sit back, learn whatever else he has left before they're comfortable putting him in. So, I think this serves both ends, very well. And, it's up to Dalton at this point to keep it, keep the plan going the way they're envisioning it goes.
Yeah, certainly. Let's take a look here real quick at the schedule before we wrap up, take your questions, and hear Eric's final take. So week 1, we obviously have the Rams.
Yep.
I'm going with a loss. I think they'll win their opener against the Bengals. I think they'll lose to the Browns. I think they'll beat Detroit. I think they'll beat the Raiders. I think they find themselves at 3-2 coming into week 5. Then they go to 3-3, lost to the Packers. I think they'll beat the Buccaneers again. And after that, your guess is as good as mine. I find this team, just looking at a glance going into the bye week, I find them 4-5. And Eric, I want to hear your point, because you made a really good point yesterday about how the early part of this season is way more important than any other.
Oh, no question. I mean, if you put the graphic back up for me.
Yeah, we'll do.
The first 5 games are vital, because when you look at the October 17th game through the November 8th games, those are the ones that are probably going to decide your season. NFC Championship participant Green Bay, who has had the Bears number for years. You got Tampa Bay, the defending champs, and Tom Brady holds a grudge. We all know that, so he's going to be up for that game. San Francisco, I think they're going to be better this year, provided they stay healthy, and they're probably going to get decent quarterback play. And then you got the Steelers, who are always tough, and they're going to be at home. So that's a murderer's row of games right there going into the bye. So if you go into that with anything other than a winning record, 3-2 being the, what you obviously need the most, 4-1 would be better. Hell, 5-0 would be the best, obviously. But if you can at least get to 3-2, even if you lose all 4 of those games, you're still in an okay spot going into the second half of the season. But if you go into that 2-3 or worse, you're probably done by the time you hit the bye week. So the Bears really need to make sure that they win the games they probably should in those first 5, like the ones you mentioned, Cincinnati, Detroit, those are givens. I think they can beat Vegas. And I also think they can beat Cleveland. I know Cleveland's a Super Bowl contender, rightfully so. They're a really good team, but I think they can be beatable at times. I mean, they lost to the Jets last year. Don't forget that. So it's not like they're infallible. They're a great team. They're probably going to be a favorite, rightfully so. But, I think this team is capable of pulling off a couple of upsets here and there. But if you get to that 4-game stretch starting in the middle of October with a losing record, you're probably not going to be seeing this team in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I look at, in fact, when I set out my my season prediction and preview article earlier this week, my season played out exactly like Eric just mentioned, is, in those first 5 games going into a record with at least a 3-2 record. And that's what I have. I have a loss at LA. I have them beating the Bengals. I have a loss in Cleveland, beating Detroit, beating the Raiders, losing to Green Bay, losing to the Buccaneers, losing to San Francisco, and losing to Pittsburgh. So by the time they hit the bye week, I have them at 3-6.
Yeah, that's
tough.
tough.
The bye week, yeah, absolutely. Go to the bye week, and I actually picked this before all the news of the torn ACLs came out for Baltimore, so I still had them winning. So I have them beating Baltimore, beating Detroit in Detroit on Thanksgiving night or Thanksgiving morning, beating the Cardinals, losing in Green Bay, beating Minnesota at home, beating Seattle in Seattle, which is a tough one. I'm actually looking to go into that game. The Giants at home, I think they'll win, and then losing in Minnesota to finish with a 9-8 record. That's what I got.
I'm pretty much with you. I got 9-8. You got 9-8. Eric, you have 7-10, correct? Yeah, I think we're all in that 7-9 range. Would be, well, obviously we're all in that 7-9 range. I just gave that to you, but we're I think we're all pretty close to where it's going to be. Let's put the pipe. This is not a 12-win football team. This is not a 13-win football team. At best, they win 10 games. That's their ceiling. And I don't think they get there this year. I think you focus on next year and have hopefully a nicer schedule. But yeah, that's that. I got 31-14 Rams. What do you guys have?
27-16 Rams.
26-10 Rams.
There you go. Let's answer some questions, guys. Thanks for rolling some out in the comments. Keep them coming in. If you're tuning in, I'd love to hear you guys tune in. Give us a follow at ClubDub_podcast. Follow Sports Mockery. Follow all of us. We're going to get you set up, again, NFL season about half an hour away. You can watch it on NBC Sports. You can watch it on NFL Network, Cowboys and Buccaneers. From Gene Lambert. How many points do you expect from the Rams to score? Just said that one, so that's a technical error on my bad. I'm saying 31. And like I said, I think they win this one pretty handedly. I think they'll just, like I said, they know what they're doing. Stafford knows this defense too well. They're going to have a successful day. Kyle has been very active in the comment section. Appreciate that, man. Thank you for tuning in. We're stuck at only 4 cornerbacks. Yep, those are the 4. Saints got Robbie and Trufant. Yep. Are we adding? I don't know who
Gary Conley.
Gary and Conley. I don't know who that is. Or 33.5 Richard Sherman. Do you see these guys getting added?
I don't know right now. I think the Bears want to see what they have in the young guys first, particularly Vildor and Shelley. They think that, with a little more experience, they might be good, and rightfully so. I mean, they're talented guys. There's no question about that. Maybe they just need a little more time to settle in. So they probably want to see them in the first couple of weeks, and if it's as bad as a lot of people fear, then I imagine they'll start dabbling in the veteran market. There will be a couple of guys still available because there usually is, even early during a regular season. So I don't think they're going to jump the gun on that. Why bother? Because if the young guys start to develop, then you go with them. They got the cheap contracts. They can be the long-term starters. So, I like their approach. They want to see if their young guys can develop rather than just immediately jumping for a veteran to throw him in there right away. So, but I do think they're going to continue to monitor the corner market, and maybe something will break their way and a really, decent guy comes forward and they can pair him with Jalen, but we'll have to see.
Another question from Kyle. Who would you keep or cut and why? Elijah Wilkinson, Lejavia Simmons.
Oh, it's a good one. Lejavia Simmons is one of those guys that, they drafted last year, 7th round, struggled, clearly not enough to play. I don't think he made an appearance last year during the regular season. I know Arlington Hambright did, but I don't think Simmons did. But he played in this preseason, had to make some emergency appearances at right tackle during training camp. And I think he impressed the Bears coaches a decent amount where they kept him on the roster. Wilkinson definitely flopped in his appearances, but I think the Bears do value his swing ability. Played right tackle in Denver for a while, and they tried him out at left tackle. And while he got abused in the preseason, they feel like maybe he has the traits to hold that down in case something happens to both Jason Peters and to Larry Borum. So I think they value that. If they had to cut one at this point, I'm probably thinking Wilkinson, because they have Borum backing up Peters on the left tackle side. On the right tackle side, they need a primary backup for Jermaine Ifedi, who already had some injuries. So they may prefer Simmons, but again, Wilkinson's more of a natural right tackle. So they may, but if it's my choice, they may go with their draft choice, the younger guy from last year, and go with Simmons to keep on the roster.
By sitting Fields, all Nagy is doing is getting him ready for the next head coach. I don't think so. I think he's buying himself more time.
Or at least he thinks he does.
Right.
I covered this in the in my final take a couple weeks. Was it the last episode? I can't remember when. But my opinion on the Bears sitting Fields for now is they feel he's probably closed that gap of wherever they wanted him to be. I certainly think he has, and I was more skeptical of him when they first drafted him. So I think he's looking good. But and I said this on Michael's show yesterday, they have the luxury of sitting him longer because they have a legitimate veteran to start in Andy Dalton. The other teams, Trevor Lawrence's Jaguars and Zach Wilson's Jets and Mac Jones' Patriots, they don't have legitimate veterans. I mean, the Patriots cut Cam Newton, who sucks, and I have no idea why he was the primary competition for Mac Jones. Never should have been. But they don't have legitimate options otherwise. The Bears do, and they feel like, look, it's a luxury at this point. Let me sit Fields so he can learn whatever I want him to learn, especially this week 1 opponent, Super Bowl contender, on the road, prime time, great defense. I don't want to throw you to the wolves. Not that, he needs to be babied, but they have a luxury. Hey, watch how the NFL is played, NFL speed, starter on starter. Watch all that because we can. And if Dalton allows you that luxury of time, great. If he doesn't, you're still ready to go, but why not give you that time if we can?
One last thing then before we get into final take. Guys, if you got any more questions, now's the time. Go ahead and throw them in. Super Bowl predictions. Way too early Super Bowl predictions. Who do we got? I got Rams, and I have the Chiefs. And I have the Chiefs as Super Bowl champions.
All right.
I haven't really thought about this, to be perfectly honest. Because
that's why I'm asking. I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, I think the Chiefs are probably going to end up back there again. They're still such a good team. Mahomes is an absolute beast. They reloaded the offensive line, and they still have a great defensive coordinator. So I really don't see anybody in the AFC that's probably going to knock them off. The only one who can is Buffalo, and they pretty much handled Buffalo pretty well last year. So I think the Chiefs is going to be the AFC. It's the NFC where I can't really be too certain because there's a couple of teams. You mentioned the Rams, obviously the Bucks, the Packers are another one. So honestly, I think the Bucs are going to go back. It's going to be a rematch of last year, but this time around, I think the Chiefs are going to get them.
Okay. Drew?
Yeah, from a matchup perspective, I actually think the Browns match up pretty well with the Chiefs, and they showed that last year in Kansas City. I think the Browns actually should have won that game. They had several unfortunate incidences that kept points off the board, like that fumble out of the end zone right before the first half ended. So and Baker Mayfield played amazing in that game. So I think that they match up well. However, I do have the Bills in the AFC coming out this year. I'm bullish on Josh Allen. I did not like him much coming out of college. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Breaking up a little bit, but I hear you.
Sorry. I didn't like him much coming out of college, but I am now bullish on him. He was great last year and this preseason. I mean, he showed that he still, is playing accurately, and some of those throws were insane. So, I'm bullish on Allen. I think they can take that next step, make it from the AFC. In the NFC, I'm not betting against Tom Brady, even though I love the Rams and I actually think they probably have the more complete team at this point. But I'm not betting against Tom Brady. The guy's 44 years old or 43 years old. Just give it to him.
You're 44. Close.
It's just ridiculous, and he's still so good. And I'm giving him his 8th ring.
Yeah, no, I mean that's fair. That's very fair. I like the Rams. I think they're gonna take the NFC this year. But you're right about Josh Allen, man. That dude's a beast. He's my MVP pick this year. I got some money on him preseason MVP. I think that it's either him or Mahomes, and I think since Mahomes already has one, I think Josh Allen's turn to win that MVP is now. Stephon Diggs is an absolute beast up there. They got a great wide receiving core, and guess what? The Bills don't run the ball. They throw the ball 85% of the time. So Josh Allen's going to have – I mean, the Chiefs throw the ball a lot more too, but Chiefs at least have a competent running game. The Bills are going to throw the ball. I think that puts Josh Allen in a good position to win MVP this year. All right, final take time. Eric, without further ado – oh, that's not the button I wanted to hit.
Not Eric.
You're not Eric? Oh,
I'm not Eric.
Okay. Eric, take it away. Final take. Let's hear it.
All right. Nobody has more to prove this 2021 season than Matt Nagy. Over the past 3 years, we've learned two things about the Bears head coach. He's a capable leader who can hold sway over a locker room, and he's a highly underwhelming offensive coordinator. This team has finished 21st, 29th, and 26th in total offense during his tenure. They were 23rd in third down efficiency in 2019 and 32nd last year. Of the 11 games the Bears have scored 30 or more points since 2018, 4 came after he gave up play calling last season. Nobody is saying Mitch Trubisky was the best QB to work with, yet does the coach honestly believe Andy Dalton will fix everything? He better hope so. The odds of the defense carrying him again aren't favorable. Not against this schedule. Nagy was hired for two things: win and fix the offense. He's not doing one as often as before, and he's never done the other. If the Bears don't score this season, they don't win. And if they don't win, then Nagy has to go.
Okay.
Damn.
Wow.
Oh, powerful.
Well, you see, I think I tend to be on the same boat as you. I just think that they're gonna get the benefit of the doubt. I think he's got at least another year after this year. We'll see. But great final take.
Yeah.
Cowboys and Buccaneers moments away. Who we got? I'll take the Buccaneers. I'll take the Buccaneers to cover. I think they were 8-point favorites last time I looked. So I'll take the Buccaneers to cover and on the money line. So I'll take them to win outright. What do you guys got? Now I'll say 30 to 24.
I'm gonna go with the Bucs. I mean, I think they've got the more complete team than Dallas does, and Prescott's probably gonna be a little rusty after his long layoff. So I think the Bucs are probably gonna win 31-23 or something to that effect. So I'm picking them to win.
Read my mind, Eric. That was the score I was thinking. So yeah, I got the Bucs. Look, at home, you got all that Super Bowl champion introduction fever and all that kind of stuff, and the Cowboys are just they're nowhere near as good a team as Tampa Bay is. So give me the Bucs. Give me Tom Brady. Never bet against Tom Brady. I've learned that lesson. I never really did bet against Tom Brady because I don't really bet. But just don't bet against Tom Brady. Just simple lesson in life.
Yeah, we're gonna get you to bet before the season's up. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
We'll see.
All
Look,
right, guys,
if Andy Dalton plays well, and all my takes this offseason were like, look, the Bears are going to be fine, I may have to take my hand in betting and just kind of that hot hand of analysis and evaluation.
They say betting makes everything better. So,
yeah. That's right.
if you win a lot, you just put all that money back in and you lose it all. So, part of the experience.
The best way to make $1 million the best way to end up with $1 million when you're betting?
How? Well,
start with $1 billion.
Okay, Dad. Gee. Wow.
I'm sorry.
That's enlightening. I'm with you. I don't bet a whole lot, but I do love betting on the NFL. So I'll be doing that. This is my. This will be a fun year. I'm really excited. Can't wait to get Red Zone up on one TV, the Bears on the other. Well, actually, the Bears are Sunday night, so I'll just have one TV up on Sunday. But, guys, we made it. The NFL's back. The Bears are back. It's exciting. We thank you guys for tuning into the offseason with us. But now that we're going to have actual games to talk about, things just getting started here. We're going to have some really fun guests coming up this season, some players, hopefully, former players, a lot of great analysts from different cities. So we got a lot of really, really fun things planned here on Club Dub. The off season's gone. What's that?
We doing a Sunday night post game?
I think we should try. I will be back at my parents' house. I'm going to watch the game with the old man. But I think I should be able to at least get something going. I won't have like a crazy cool setup, but I'll get something going. Yeah, let's try it. Let's try and do it.
Quick vent session should be good.
Why not? Eric, you in?
Sure.
All right. We're going to make it happen. Bears, Rams, Sunday night football. And before that, you get Thursday night football, Cowboys, Buccaneers. Go enjoy it. Pour a drink. It's Thursday night. We will see you guys on Sunday. Peace.